Hizzle, all for Shizzle, Dizzle. We got an excellent show here today. Uh, man, this is why I like YouTube. MD made a video, um, and so this is a response to his video. So MD, there was a video he sent me of an African guy over in Russia, and he had claimed that the Russian soldier was trying to force him to go in on the front line strapped with a mine to him. I looked at the video and I'm just like, man. And first of all, and then MD he did address the fact that it did come from CNN, and I'm like, MD. So if you knew it was from CNN, you knew I wasn't going to waste my time coming in on your show based on some CNN propaganda. Wartime propaganda. That's the title, y'all. Wartime propaganda. Let me lay the foundation first, okay? Let me lay the foundation because I'm gonna do this in layers. Layers, MD, layers. If you read any Civil War, American Revolutionary War, World War II, I mean, we can go to all the way to Vietnam. We can go to damn Kuwait. We can go to Afghanistan. If you read here, we can. If you read any war books, read any war books. That's why this is my lane, MD. You're making this way too easy for me. This is why this is my wheelhouse, and I will gladly address and answer your question. First of all, wartime propaganda, and if it's not clear, I'm going to make it very clear for you. Wartime propaganda, even the news media picks a side. Okay? Ukraine is losing so bad to where they're getting desperate. Zelensky just told Trump he needs American troops. Now, if y'all don't know, this is why reading books on war is so important. Russians have had Africans fight for them for centuries, going way back. I'm talking about before the Napoleonic Wars, before the war, World War II. Russia has always had Africans fighting for them. Okay, so when you got Africans fighting for Russians, when the Africans get caught, they will be used as propaganda. Propaganda is not only here in the U.S., us on the outside watching the war. The propaganda, once a prisoner caught, oh, the propaganda goes into a full effect. Those Africans were Ukrainian prisoners, number one. Those Africans were Ukrainian prisoners. This is why having Russian friends like Andrei Martinev and what's the other guy's name? It's very important, very very important having. If you have to have resources. If you're gonna do anything on YouTube, please have Russian sources. Please have some Russians. Please have and CNN. Yeah, CNN is getting so desperate, man. They are all in. They're diving head first into the propaganda, and you, MD, you're diving head first right into their propaganda. But you don't. I'll let you get a pass because you don't understand wartime propaganda. You don't understand it. I do. I'm like, I look at the video. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be too easy. What's going on, Fox? What's going on, Fox, man? Yeah, I'm talking about. How's my mic? How's my mic? Talking about wartime propaganda this morning, and you know, Mike is good. Okay, great, great, great. Yeah, I'm just letting them know that yeah, the wartime propaganda. They were. He sent. He did a show. He wanted my response on this, and then I'm just like, oh, it's easy. It's very easy because wartime propaganda does not stop. Wartime propaganda kicks for the actual war, and it still keeps going after the war. Look at Adolf Hitler and that war and the wartime propaganda world. It doesn't stop. How long did we not admit that it was Russia's war against Adolf Hitler? That Russia marched on Berlin. Like, the propaganda does not stop. You know, the propaganda does not stop. But let's break it down. So MD, you know, talks about this video of this African guy being caught, and they're saying, oh, they're tricking Africans over there, and they're not paying them. Blah blah blah. Okay, so I look at the video and I'm like, oh, obviously CNN is playing on your ignorance, MD, because they know that their audience who feeds into the propaganda don't speak Russian. They obviously know that you don't speak Russian. Now you might say, well, you don't speak Russian too. Yeah, but I got friends who speak Russian. And those are clearly Ukrainians doing a propaganda video, and those are clearly those Africans. That one African guy that you showed is clearly a Ukrainian prisoner. And so when I looked it up, I'm looking up all the fake news, the wartime propagandists that has this video, and I can't find nobody on the other side with the same video. You know why? Because wartime propaganda, everybody chooses a side. Now, I did post some videos of Ukrainians being kidnapped by the goddamn Ukrainian army. So if news is fair and unbalanced, that means all your sources, MD, everybody that had that one video of the one African prisoner, that prisoner of the Ukrainians pushing out the propaganda, but none of them channels had Ukrainians being kidnapped on the streets, being big overhead, being kidnapped. So I'm getting, your narratives, oh, they tricked the Africans, they're not paying them. And, oh, but what about the Ukrainians being conscripted, beaten over the head, kidnapped, and thrown into the front line? Any Russian will tell you, number one, when they said that guy had this mine strapped to him, that is not a Russian tactic. That is a Ukrainian tactic. That's not Russian. This is why studying Russian warfare is so important. Still working for a couple of, I'm just listening at the moment. Okay, no problem, Fox, no problem. Oh, you still at work? Okay, I just got to work. So, yeah, man. I know you've had a busy week. Had a very busy week. As you know, this week, yeah, very busy week. So, um, yeah, wartime propaganda is something, um, it's something that you naturally, if you're into warfare, it comes along with the territory. And so I'm able to recognize it right away. You being from the South, Indy, you should know as much propaganda that was poured into the Civil War, especially when you had black people joining, not only joining the Union, but at the end you had black people joining the Confederacy. The South was conscripting blacks when they realized, black troops, every time when the losing side is losing the war, they do desperate things. So the South recruiting black slaves, Hitler recruiting young children, women, just like Ukraine is. When the losing side, they get desperate in the end, so they start hiring mercenaries, slaves, children, pregnant women. Desperation gets real. And so, yeah, along with the desperation comes the desperate propaganda. And so, Ukraine losing as far as mercenaries in warfare, if you learn warfare again, MD, all nations in all time periods, They hire mercenaries. They hire out. I mean, we've done it. We had the French. We've had Frenchmen during the time of Washington fight along with us. Louis the XVI sent us propaganda, hype, will to fight, want to win. Yeah. Fox. The propaganda is used to. I'm gonna tell you where it comes from because and that's why I said it's deeper than just addressing MD. Zelensky recently said he told President Trump's he needs U.S. American troops. He needs U.S. American troops. This is what Zelensky wants. And Trump said, no U.S. American troops. Now, this is on a deep level because once Trump is out of office, the Democrats, which the Europeans are hoping will draft people into the Ukrainian war if Trump can't finish this war, which is very dangerous. Trump is saying no U.S. troops. So if Trump is saying no U.S. troops, what are the Democrats going to say? U.S. troops, because people have TDS so bad that whatever Trump say, they're going to go against the complete opposite. So you're making Trump, you're pushing him to Mount Rushmore every day. Y'all Democrats are pushing, but I'm going to address Trump in another video because we're talking about wartime propaganda. Now, even though, America plays a big part in the Ukrainian conflict, this Russia having African soldiers and then being caught by the Ukrainians, and then the Ukrainians using this propaganda, and CNN jumping head first because CNN is such a horrible news organization. CNN is such like they jumped out completely out the window. And MD said, oh, you can't deny no video. And I'm like, oh my gosh, MD, you don't even speak Russian. You don't speak Ukrainian. And you're gonna sit up here and tell me about a propaganda video. And I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna tear this thing all up. I'm just gonna tear it apart. I'm gonna tear it completely apart because the propaganda is so because I recognize it and I'm an expert in warfare. To me, it's sloppy, but to a person like yourself, it's clean. It's like, oh my gosh. Well, to be fair, it is in America's war. We aren't built to fight in the cold. No, we're not built to fight in the cold. We are not. We are not. We're meant to fight in Jesus' realm. I call it Jesus realm because every time you look at a picture of Jesus, there's birds and flowers and shit. He's the God of spring. You know, we all might say there's a God or there's a Messiah, this and that, but there's a God of the Messiah of the winter and there's a God Messiah of the sun. That's why Son of God. They talking about the Son. That's Jesus. He's the God of son of the sun God, not of the winter solstice. But that's a whole. I'm not going to get into that right now, Fox, because that's a whole nother video dealing with the gods and the regions and the weather. Like people don't understand the high science behind that. The God of the sun is not the same God of the winter. It's just not. But and the Russians might give the God of the winter the same name, Yistos Christos. Oh, that's Christ. It's not the same Christ as the sun. But I'm not going to get into that right now because people they get derailed, they get confused, and they don't. I don't want to get into that. I will explain that another time. But to make your point, Fox is we go up in that cold weather, we're going to get our ass kicked. We're going to get our asses kicked, plain and simple. Okay. Now I know I got a lot of vets that watch this channel. My bad. I was just saying nothing more. No, that's fine, Fox. What I'm saying, and this is to my vets, because I got a lot of my brother in arms that come to this channel. Let me make this clear so y'all, because y'all get all your panties in a bunch. If Russia comes over here, we will whoop their ass. But Russia has no interest in coming over here because they understand home field advantage. China understands home field advantage, but see, when I talked about hegemony, it went right over MD's head. We have this thing about hegemony, about fighting overseas and fighting Afghanistan and the Houthis, which we got our ass kicked by the Houthis, by the way. What I'm saying is that we weaken ourselves with this hegemony. China's not interested in hegemony. China's interested in protecting China's borders. That's why they didn't come to the aid of Maduro. Russia the same way. Russia's interest is protecting Russia borders, not coming to America. So why why are we picking a fight or trying to push other countries to fight with Russia? Why are we doing that? I mean, and this goes out to Venkat. Venkat, I got to address you real quick. All due respect, Venkat, you are not even qualified to talk about Russia, and you don't even know who Sergei Lavrov is. When I last time I went on MD show and Venkat, we were talking about Russia. I said, well, with Sergei Lavrov, he was like, who's that? I said, oh man, you're not qualified for this conversation. Damn, this is why it frustrates me to talk about things that are not in people's wheelhouse. Okay, like you, MD, your wheelhouse is economics and domestic, but you try to jump into the foreign, and it's like, bro, if you're gonna jump into foreign, especially warfare, you have to know about the propaganda. You have to know when the prisoners get caught, or the propaganda goes double fold. Let me say it again. When prisoners are caught, that being the Africans fighting for the Russians by the Ukrainians, oh, that strapping that bomb, he was a Ukrainian prisoner doing that. Ukrainian prisoner doing that. Okay? So, oh gosh. And then you might say, "Oh, well, if Russia's doing so good, why do they have North Korean and Africans?" And I can say the same thing about Ukraine. Why do they have South Americans fighting for Ukraine? Why do they have Americans fighting for Ukraine? Why do they have the English over there fighting for Ukraine and losing and dying? Come on, Lyle. Because again, you got the study to show yourself approved. You're doing a VinCat right now. No offense to you, VinCat, but goddamn, if you're gonna talk about Russia, VinCat, your homework is just find out who Sergei Lavrov is. Watch a couple of videos on Sergei Lavrov. Get caught up. Because if we're gonna talk Russian, you don't know who Sergei Lavrov. It's frustrating. That's for you, VinCat. Now back to you, MD. MD, if you're gonna talk about the Africans, this and that, learn some wartime propaganda and how it works. That's for you, MD. In fact, do your homework on just the Civil War and how blacks were handled in the Union and how blacks were handled in the South during the Confederacy. When a lot of people don't know this, not only did the president of the Confederate and I'm sorry, Johnson and the vice president and the Congress, but also General Lee had no problem making former slaves into soldiers because they saw how well they did on the Union side. Well, hell, we should have some. And even before they could even pass it, they started taking African slaves on the Confederate side before they made it official. They were going to make it official right before the war ended, right when things were getting bad. We need to conscript. They were already conscripting Africans on both. Well, they obviously they did on the Union. We know that, right? We know that the Union already, but then the South saw that. Well, we need to do that too. When the idea came, well, we need to do that. When General E. Lee saw this, he started conscripting right away before Congress could even pass it. And so, in order to get black people on both sides, on the Confederacy and the Union, you had propaganda going both ways. You had propaganda going both ways. The Union, you'll be freed, men, and blah, blah, blah. On the Confederacy, I can't remember what propaganda they use offhand. I mean, they don't. I mean, you. I have to do um, more research on the propaganda that they were using. Well, you didn't really have to use it because they were slaves. Either here's a rifle in your hand and go fight. So you really don't have to use propaganda on people you have enslaved. But that's we're gonna deal with that another day now because Africans fighting for Russia is not a new thing. Africans have been fighting for Russia, and every time Africans fight for Russia, there was propaganda. You can go back to hell, the Napoleonic Wars. We can go before World War II, and propaganda was used when these prisoners were caught by the Germans, by the French, by the Swedes, by the who else? Who else did Russia fight? You know, and of course now the Ukrainians. So yeah, it's not really not much to address. That's why I didn't even want to come on your show based on just your one source CNN and all these other wartime propagandists. I was just like, oh, this is oh Jesus, this I'm gonna just address this thing, and I'm glad that this is the type of YouTube that I like. This is the type of stuff that I like to address, and this is the type of conversations Black people need to have because a lot of people are unaware that Africans have been fighting for Russians for centuries. Okay, really, a lot of people don't know, and this is why I'm glad we're having this conversation. That were Africans fighting for the Third Reich. There were Muslims fighting for the Third Reich, Turks and all that fighting for the Third Reich. But unfortunately for the Germans, the victors write the history. That being the Western Allies and Russia. That's a whole nother topic too. That they had black Nazis that, yeah, they did the same thing the Confederates did. They start in when Hitler started, a lot of Hitler's youth were Africans. They don't want to talk about that because they didn't win the war, so they don't get the right history. But we've been taught because of the propaganda. Oh, Hitler was a white, for all the white, and that might be, he was a German nationalist, but there was nothing to stop the German nationalists from having African Hitler used as Africa, black Nazis amongst their ranks, just like black Bolsheviks amongst their ranks. That's a whole nother right. But again, if you don't study warfare, this is it's gonna sound crazy to you. And that's why I said you gotta pick up a book before we can have these conversations on warfare. You got to pick up a book and understand what is going on. And when you deal with wartime propaganda, it's deep. It's deep. Every country does it. Every country's been doing it. Every country will keep doing it. Us especially. Yeah, we've been doing propaganda since the Revolutionary War. So is Russia, so is England, so is Germany, so is Africa. All these countries, all these countries take in mercenaries. That's number one. That we got to understand that they take in mercenaries, and for you, MD, you don't have a warfare mentality. Your whole thing is economics and all that, but you don't understand warfare and how in wartime you take what you can get. It's just like when they say, "Oh, you fight dirty. Oh, you picked up a broken bottle and you fought with it." There's no rules, and there's no rules of warfare. But again, and when you take prisoners, you use those prisoners to your advantage to promote propaganda. Oh, they're using Africans on the front line, and those are clearly in Ukrainian prisoners. Those are Ukrainian prisoners all day. So I was just like, oh my God. I looked at that and he's like, oh, CNN. And I'm just like, oh my God, MD, what part you don't get? So again, MD, what you do for me, this is what you do for me. Just to show yourself approved. Study to show yourself approved. You know why I don't respect CNN? Because CNN will never show those conscript videos by the Ukrainians kidnapping Ukrainian citizens to put them on the front line and don't train them. You'll never see that on CNN. You will never, and that's why I don't respect CNN, and that's why CNN is crap me. That's why CNN is a joke, and I'm like, CNN, really? But you don't understand that. You've never seen those videos where they take these Ukrainians and they kidnap them. They kidnap the men. They kidnap Ukrainian men. And you will never see that on CNN. This is why I don't respect CNN. You wonder why I don't want to waste my time with CNN? Because they never show people being kidnapped in Ukraine. This is how they're recruiting people. They're kidnapping people in Ukraine. But you won't address that. But again, wartime propaganda. Wartime propaganda. You won't address that because your source is CNN. And as long as your source is CNN, when I talk about, oh, they're kidnapping Ukrainians, it's going to go right over your head. And all those Africans that you in videos, that's wartime propaganda. That's going to go over your head. Because you come with this emotion, oh, they're doing this to black people. Mr. Anti-Black, by the way. Oh, the Africans. I'm just like, man, MD, man, you gotta be. It's just, I mean, and that's why I compare you to Venkat. Venkat not knowing who Sergei Lavrov is, but when I have a conversation about me loving Russia, conversation about me loving Russia, but you don't know who Sergei Lavrov is. You don't even know Venkat. Again, Venkat, your homework is type in Sergei Lavrov and just form an opinion on him before you go into another conversation with me about Russia. You do that, Venkat. And you, MD, Civil War is right in your backyard. How you from the South? How you from Georgia and don't know about the goddamn prisoners being used, black prisoners being used as propaganda? Like, how are you from the South? Networks can control. Okay, so Fox said networks can concede and bend the truth to tell what they want. Right, and that's what I was saying, Fox. That clearly, first of all, the Ukrainians are shocked that Russia is using Africans or have African mercenaries. They've been Russia's been using African mercenaries for a long time. For a long time since World War II. I agree with MD and Venkat, sir. Okay, cool. What you agree with them about? What is Paul? What do you agree with them about? First, tell me what you agree with them about, and you're entitled to agree with MD and Venkat. But all I'm addressing Venkat was he doesn't even know who Sergei Lavrov is. That's number one. MD doesn't know what wartime propaganda is. So, but explain, Paul. What do you be more specific, Paul? We're going to give Paul a chance to uh, explain what he agrees with, because um, you're walking a fine line, Paul. Because I got Fox here. He's a sniper, so stand down on the sniper. Fox, let this man Paul explain himself so we can get what he agrees on. You sound crazy when it comes to war strategy. War strategy. Oh gosh, I sound crazy when it comes to war strategy. My strategy is not to go into Russia and provoke them to use a nuclear weapon. Paul. So explain what strategy you're talking about. My strategy is to avoid nuclear conflict with Russia because Russia has the advantage. They won the arms race. They have now what they call the Baryshniks. They have the Baryshniks. They have the Poseidon. They have they have like 5 modern missiles that we cannot compete with. We cannot compete with. The most up to date weapons that we have was updated when I was born in 1973. and we keep trying to update and upgrade and upgrade. But the newest weapons we have were made in 1973. So when I talk about war strategy, my war strategy is simple. It's a bad strategy for us to go up into Russia. That's a bad strategy. Just look at Adolf Hitler. Just look, but you don't. But see, that's over your head, Paul, because you don't even know about Adolf Hitler or Napoleon going up into Russia getting their ass kicked. In fact, Paul, don't even know about that we got our ass kicked by the Houthis. Just got our asses handed to us by the Houthis. You know, halal, hula, lula, ba, halal, hula, lula. You know, Muslims over there, the goat herders. Yeah, they whooped our ass. We just got our asses handed to us by the Houthis. But you want to talk to me about bad war strategy? And we had the most horrible pullout in Afghanistan. But people like Venkat and MD said, "Oh, Biden was the greatest president." And I'm like, man, he was the most horrible president. We pulled out in Afghanistan and we want to goddamn uh, poke the bear at Russia. Come on, Paul, talk to me. Talk to me, Paul. How's my mic? Maybe Paul doesn't. How's my mic, Fox? Because apparently he's not responding. Maybe my mic is bad. Is my mic still good, Fox? Because apparently he got quiet. Apparently he stepped into the lion's den, and apparently he don't. Apparently he don't know who he's dealing with. You still good? Okay, good, good. Paul. You want to earn some money this morning, Paul? You want to earn some money this morning, Paul? I'll cash app you if you get answer. If you have even a basic war strategy, we survive. Unfortunately, you leading us straight into annihilation with vibes and guesswork. Paul, I will cash app you. How much money do you need right now, Paul? Do you just need some extra cash right now? How about a cool $50? You need a cool 50 just real quick. Would you like cool 50? I'll cash app you right now if you can tell me what missile do we have that can stop an Rushnik, and I'll cash app you $50. What's the name of the weapon that can stop a Rushnik missiles, and what equipment do we have? Not only that, and I'll give you extra 50. You can tell me what equipment do we have to detect the Poseidon unmanned drone submarine. So that'd be $100 if you could answer 50 per question. How do we stop the Rushniks? How do we check the Poseidon submarine missile? And oh, I'll give you 150 if you can tell me how we can stop the Burrushniks. How can we not only detect but stop the Burrushniks too? So Rushnik, Burrushnik, Poseidon. Like, can you give me the locations of the Poseidon unmanned drone submarines? If you can't do that, then you're not even on my level. And after this point, either you answer that or I'm not going to even address you more. You can type all you want. I'm not going to address you anymore unless you answer those 3 questions. And there's an incentive to answer the questions. I will cash app you. American detects Russian missiles through. No, I said, how do they stop? A layered early warning system, basically overlapping. Okay, so he says that Paul says that we can detect it. What is the name of the missile that can shoot down the Rushniks? Because apparently Israel was unable to detect the Iranian Scud missiles. They got their asses handed to them in the 12-day war. And we supplied Israel with the top-notch missiles and the dome and all that. And, Israel got hammered. Again, Paul, you got to be on my level, bro. That's why I can't really take you seriously. Why do you think we are in space? Again, Paul, what is the name? Let me translate. Maybe we could translate this for you, Paul. What is the name of the missiles that can stop The Erushniks, the name of our missiles that can stop the Erushniks and Barushniks. What is the system that can stop that? See, Paul, you're not on this level. See, you're not even on my level, Paul. You're not on my level because you can't answer that question. You're dancing right now. What's the name of the missile that can stop it? It's called lasers. What is the name of the lasers? Oh God, it's the lasers, huh? Oh, the lasers. The lasers can stop the. That's science fiction. What is the name of the laser? What is the name of the laser system? This laser has to have a name. There has to be the name of this laser system. What is the name of the laser system? This guy's living in fantasy land with this laser stuff. But okay, what is the name of the laser? My guy. What is the name of the laser system? My guy. It has to have. There has to be a name. And when was this laser system produced? Because the Abrushniks was just produced like recently. What year did they make this laser system? What year? Give me a year. See, I say you're not on my level, but see, you're not responding. Oh, laser, my guy. Well, okay, what's the name of the laser system? And when was this laser produced? When did they mass produce these lasers? Or I'm assuming you're saying these satellites. Helios. Okay, what year was the Helios made? What year was the Helios made? Give me a year. This guy. What is the name of the Helios? What year was it made? I'm not being slow because I'm asking specific questions and you're not, you're being slow. I'm asking what year was the Helios made? What year was the Helios made? Watch this, y'all. Now, if he answers the question, which he's dancing around the question, he's Googling right now. He's doing all the Google right now. So we got to give him time to Google. He doesn't understand. I already know the answers to all that. That's up to you to research. Okay, well, the Helios, your mythological Helios was, I'm not Google, sir. Oh, okay, gotcha, Paul. Well, Paul, if you're not Google, then why are you on here even? And Jesus Christ, why are you on here trying to challenge somebody who's well studied in this? Like I've already done the research and I've already studied. We don't have like the Poseidons were, well, not only the Poseidons because we can't detect the Poseidons. The Erushniks and Brushniks were just mass produced. Just mass produce. Just mass produce. And it is a new concept. This is a new weapon. This is just it. This was it's right hot right off the presses. We have no technology because number one, we lost the arms race. Okay, if you want to sound smart, there are plenty of ways to do loud. Okay, so you didn't give me a year, so I'm gonna stop reading your comics because there are ways to sound intelligent. Really helps silence even. Okay, Paul. I was asking you the question. So I was giving you the opportunity to sound smart because I said, what year did they make the Helios? I was asking you the question. What year was the Helios made? So I can get a timeline because I'm giving you a fresh timeline like, yo, point is they can stop Russia. No, they can't. I'm gonna tell you why. Um, I tell you what, Fox, if he cannot answer the question, if he can't give me a year on the Helios in the next comment, if he makes the next comment without the year, then boot him. So give him a move to rush and then, okay, Paul, after this point, if you don't give me a year on the Helios, he's going to snipe you. Fox is going to snipe you. So, Fox, give him a chance to give me a year, and if he doesn't, oh, damn. Yep, you got sniped, Paul. Oh, well, Paul. Damn. I was trying to give you the opportunity and be smart. I was trying to warn you that my sniper, Fox, there, has a scope right on your forehead, and all you got to do is give me, I was giving you safe passage to give me a year that the Helios was made. Okay, you were timed out, Paul. So when you come back on, give me a year that the Helios was made. That's all. And I guarantee you, whatever year you give me, he didn't. Right. I know he didn't, Fox. I was trying to give him a chance, though. But, hell, he's being a troll 24 hours. Oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine. So, as you can see, Fox got very impatient with you because you would not give me a year that the Helios was made. The Helios wasn't just recently made. So if something is made in 1973 and something was made in 2023, the newer model is way more advanced than this old model, this old 1973 compared to 2023. Okay? So your Helios was made in 1973. The Erushniks was made in 2023. So it's way more advanced. So basically, your Pinto, your 1979 Pinto, cannot compete with the 2024 Camaro, supercharged Camaro. I don't know if that makes sense to you. I don't know if it makes sense to you. But it should make basic sense that a 1979 Pinto, which is the Helios, cannot compete with the 2024 Dodge Supercharger. The Helios is an old relic compared to the Erushniks, which is it's fresh off fresh. The newest, the Poseidon. I'm sorry, the Poseidon, the Erushniks, the Brushniks are the newest technologies on the planet. Okay, on the planet. This Helios that you're talking about was made during the time when they filmed the movie Jaws. Fox, do you remember the movie Jaws with Roy Schneider? Jaws 1, Jaws. Do you remember the movie Jaws with Roy Schneider? That's when this Helios was made. Apparently, Fox, this Helios that he's talking about is older than you. Right, you love Jaws, right, but that movie's older than you, but you love the movie, but that just shows how old this laser Helios that he's talking about, that's how old that system is compared to something that the Russians just rolled out in 2023. That Helios goes way back to 1973 when I was born. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science, Paul, my guy. It's not rocket science. See, you got to come correct because my shooters, like Fox and all them, they get impatient with stupidity. They get impatient with stupidity, and I try to advocate on your side. Well, just let them answer, and boom, pow, they Fox shoots you in the head because my snipers get very impatient with stupid ones like you, Paul. And I say stupid because you allowed yourself to get shot in the head by my sniper Fox there. You made Fox very impatient, and I told you I got snipers. All you got to do, I'll give you safe passage. Just put a year down, and I will give you safe passage. But Fox, he got very impatient with you. He's a sniper. I got you. Basically, the U.S. needs to update, but if they did, we most likely won't hear about it because the best tactics is surprise. Well, Fox, Israel got a big surprise. When you say that during the 12-day war, when goddamn they got hammered by Iran, that was a big surprise. Fox, would you say it was a big surprise when we got our asses handed to us by the Houthis? We went in there and we tried to goddamn handle the Houthis and got our ass. That was a big surprise. Yeah, that surprised the hell out of me. That surprised the hell out of me when the Houthis handed our asses. We got our asses handed to it. That was a big surprise. Like me in my generation, I thought Israel had the greatest because we gave them trillions of dollars for defense, Fox, and the Iranians who don't even have Baryshniks got through Israeli. That was a surprise. Yes, that was a great surprise. Would you not agree with that, Fox? That Israel getting hammered by Iran, that 12-day war, I was really surprised. I was surprised, Fox. I was like, whoa. Like I don't know what's bigger surprise. Was it Israel getting their ass whipped by Iran or us getting our asses kicked by the goddamn Houthis? What was the biggest surprise, would you say? Because yeah, I was surprised as hell. I was like, damn, we can't beat some goat herders, some Allah, hula, hula, Akbar, the Houthis. Allah, hula, hula, Akbar, whooped our asses. I was very surprised with all the goddamn armory that we have. Like they don't even like the Houthis don't even have damn boots. They have sandals, and we got our asses handed to us in the goddamn Gulf there. So yeah, surprise is surprise is a very common word in warfare. We got our asses handed to it. Our ally Israel got their asses handed to them. We talk about going toe to toe with Russia on their border. Let's see what Fox says. Elite knowledge of wartime tactics aren't my wheelhouse. That's fine, Fox. That's fine. But yes, it was very surprising. Yeah. You don't have to be an expert in warfare to know that Israel got their asses handed to them. You don't have to. This is just common knowledge. In the 12-day war, Israel lost, and Benjamin Netanyahu had to beg Trump to, oh, tell him to stop, tell him to stop. I was surprised. I was like, damn, I thought Israel was gonna really take it to Iran. When we went over there with the Houthis, I thought we were gonna. I was like, man, those damn gold herders don't have a chance against the U.S. and we got our asses whooped. But we talk about going to war with Russia or taking on Russia. Or as this guy that you just banned that you sniped in the head, this Paul guy said, my strategy is bad. I'm just saying, based on Hitler, who had a very fine army, based on Napoleon, who had a very, very fine army, went up into Russia and lost. Went up into Russia and lost. Like, my strategy is don't go into Russia's backyard. That's my strategy. That's a bad strategy. And then Russia, let's just say we try to wipe out their government. They have the dead hand pointed right at us. They have the dead hand pointed right at a mate. You don't know which city. They, Fox, you know Russia has the most nukes on the planet, right? Did you know that? Is that a surprise? Let me ask you, is that a surprise that Russia has like 30 times, 300, 300 times way more nukes than we do? Is that a surprise to you, Fox? That's number one. Is that a surprise? So we're going to talk about surprises. They have the most nukes on the planet. Is that a surprise to you, Fox? Even I understood that we ain't winning against Russia when they have homeland advantage. And no, it isn't surprising about the nukes. They are the giant country. Okay, not only that, are you surprised if I had to tell you that if we were to wipe out Russia's government, they have a system called the dead hand, and the dead hand will ignite nukes all over the planet? Meaning, if Russia get defeated and wiped out, the dead hand will wipe out everybody on the planet. Does that surprise you? Yeah, auto target system. Right, the dead hand. Right. Okay, so that doesn't surprise you. Okay. So then I gotta ask you, are you surprised? Now I'm still surprised. Not really. Russia plays to win. You said Russia plays to win. Russia invented the Russian roulette. I'm gonna just leave it at that, Fox. I'm not gonna say no more about it because I don't want my Russians getting upset at me because Russians don't look that like being looked at as but we also play to win. Right, but the only thing is nobody wins. And Russia's admitted this. We don't admit this. Russia's admitted this that nobody wins. It seemed like the Fallout TV show with that nobody wins in a nuclear war. Russia understands this. Yep, nobody. Yeah, nobody wins in a nuclear war. Nobody wins. We all lose if those nukes start flying. We all lose because we got a system that'll wipe out them, and they got a system that'll wipe out us. So nobody wins. Even if we strike first, that we don't know where all their silos are. So we strike first. It don't even matter who strikes first. In the back in the 80s, they say, "Oh well, whoever strikes first." No, it's about when they have that dead end system. Oh, you can strike first, but we're gonna strike you, and we're gonna kill you. You're gonna kill us. We're gonna kill you. Nobody wins. Russia understands this. It's American, our government that seem to be your Lindsey, the Liberace Graham, your Lindsey Grahams and all that, and your Kellogg's. They they either don't understand this or they have fallout shelters they can go to. The deep state is the enclave. The enclave is real. You know, we joke about fallout, but the enclave is real. The enclave is real. Lindsey Graham, Kellogg's, all these people in Trump's ear are the enclave. That's the enclave. I'm not even gonna call them deep state no more. I'm just gonna call them the enclave. What the fuck are they? Why are they hunking? No, I'm. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, y'all. I gotta ask this truck driver. Huh? Barnes. I'm sorry, y'all. These truck drivers, they're calling them to do a job. I'm with Barnes. I'm doing a private job, so I'm not with y'all. Y'all do y'all thing. Y'all go. Y'all get loaded. I don't start until 9 o'clock. So don't look at me. Y'all do y'all. Look at these. Leave these truck drivers. They all just go do your job. I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah, I'm working with Barnes. I'm not working with y'all. I'm not working with y'all. I'm working with Barnes. But I get it. You know, they courteous to each other. That's cool. That's But I don't get loaded until late. But anyhow, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry. Um, where was I? Okay, so I was talking to Fox. We were talking about surprises, and the biggest two surprises just was recent. Like I said, Israel getting their asses handed to them by Iran was a big. The 12-day war was a big surprise to me, Fox. We getting our asses handed to us by the Houthis was a big surprise to me, Fox. Big surprise. Big surprise. We got our asses handed by the Houthis. They whooped our ass. Did you know about that? If not, Fox, surprise. Surprise. But again, my war strategy is to avoid war with Russia. Don't poke the bear. That's my ultimate war strategy. Especially when Russia is not threatening to invade the U.S. We're bickering and fighting over Russia's borders. This guy said, "Oh, why don't you move to Russia?" I'm in a country that Russia didn't threaten to invade. We're trying to invade Russia with our proxy, that being Ukraine over there. We're trying to provoke them. But Russia's not going to put nukes. They're not going to put nukes on Ukraine. They're going to put nukes on. They're going to put nukes on Europe. They're not going to. They understand. They understand what's going on in Ukraine. My point was that even if government had a system to stop Russia, you can't account for every instance. And why would they make something like that public knowledge? That's all. Well, again, Fox, whatever we have to attack Russia. Russia has the dead hand. They've had the dead hand pointed at us since the 80s. Okay? And they've built more nukes. So during the 80s, before you were born, they had missiles pointed. I mean, hell, let's go back to the Kennedy. Let's go back to Kennedy. Let's go back to the Cuban Missile Crisis. They've already had missiles pointed at D.C., which is not that far off the coast, New York, which is not far off the coast, Los Angeles, which is not far off the coast. Every major city, except for Chicago and let's say Dallas, but New York, D.C. are on the coast. Los Angeles is on the coast. They've had missiles pointed at these three major cities, D.C., New York, California, since the 60s. Since the 1960s, they've had missiles pointed at these major cities. So imagine they've gained more missiles. This is simple math. So in the 60s, they've had missiles pointed at New York, California, and D.C., which is right off the coast. Because, you know, MD always talking about long range, short range, this range, that range, which the Rushniks and the Brushniks, they circulate the globe. They have nuclear power. You won't know they're coming until you see the flashes in the sky. And this dude's talking about lasers. Well, why didn't the lasers, he talked about, oh, the Helios. Why didn't, well, I guess it was a surprise. Why? Because, you know, Israel owns most of our goddamn Congress and Senate, where they be Democrats or Republicans. Even Trump, me being MAGA, they work for Israel. So, you know, Israel's going to get top-notch weapons. So why? I guess it's a surprise. Why wasn't Israel able to stop those Iranian missiles, which were not Rushniks? Why didn't this Helios laser stop? Like Mr. I forgot his name, who you banned, who you sniped in the head. Why couldn't that stop? Why couldn't we stop those Iranian missiles during the 12-day war? With these lasers. Oh, we got lasers, but none of those lasers stopped all those missiles from ending Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu was like, uncle, he was tapping out. Trump told him to stop. Iran is whipping our ass. If I had to guess, I would say because Russia out-engineered us. Yeah, they never stopped. They never stopped producing weapons of war. They never stopped. Russia has never stopped producing weapons of war. And Russia, again, they have the most, let me say that again, they have the most nuclear weapons, number one. They have the fastest missiles on the planet, that's number two. We don't know how many Poseidon submarines they have in the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans right off the coast. Again, they've had weapons pointed at us since the 60s. And this Helios alleged laser that this man Paul talked about, he couldn't even give me a date, but I can tell you it wasn't just made like the Rushniks and Barushniks, which were made in 2023. They rolled them out in 2023, fresh off the press. So how can we stop something with an old system that was made in 1973 with a new system? You have to break down, re-engineer the new system first. They just rolled it off the press. It's not rocket science. They just produced this shit. I'm sorry, I'm cursing. They just produce these missiles. And we're talking about we can stop these new missiles in 2023 with the old system of 1973. That math ain't mathing. But see, Paul has never came to a show like this. You know, you sound smart. I didn't say I was smart, but obviously I'm asking you questions you can't answer. So you're not prepared to have a conversation with me. You're not prepared. That's all I'm saying is I think we all have the ability to be smart. It's all about preparing yourself. And he's like, oh, I'm not Google. Well, then what are you doing here? If you can't answer simple questions, what are you doing here? Because I already know the answers to it because I know our technology, our military capabilities is not going to detect where the dead hand is located, where their silos are. We don't know where these goddamn unmanned Poseidon submarines are. We don't know where these Baryshniks. We don't know because they just mass produced these, and all you have to do is watch a video on Kiev getting hammered by Baryshniks, and it just looks like lightning, just flashes in the sky, like just that's all. That's the last thing you see before you die. That's the last thing you see. But yet, people like him, Paul, think we can compete with Russia, but in real time, Israel, who give billions and trillions of dollars to, couldn't stop some conventional missiles that they got hammered by Ukraine. Am I making sense here? Let me know, Fox. I can slow it down. I can slow it down if it's not making sense. I can slow it all the way down. We give billions and trillions now to Israel, and they were unable to stop conventional weapons, conventional missiles from Iran. Benjamin Netanyahu was like, Trump, tell him to stop. Tell him to stop, Trump. This is what Israel was doing. You're right. Fox, you said something that we don't tell everything. Yeah, Trump didn't tell that we had to do this with the Houthis. Trump didn't tell that, so you're right. We don't tell at all because we don't tell this. And that's why I said wartime propaganda is a bitch. Wartime propaganda is a bitch because we didn't tell that we did this with the Houthis. We did this with the Houthis. No, it makes sense to me that old system can't stop new missiles. Yeah, these and then the lesson I want to teach here too is that Trump is talking about a golden dome, right? You know about that? Trump is talking about a golden dome. When you want to spend billions of dollars on a golden dome, Israel already had a dome. See, when you, as old as I am, history repeats itself, Fox. Trump is doing no different than what Reagan did, and Israel had the dome, and those domes did not stop the conventional missiles of Iran, and Israel had to do this in the 12-day war. Who we give billions and trillions of dollars to Israel. Our Congress, our Senate, our president on both sides are in the pocket of Israel, are on Israel's payroll. This is a reality. And Israel was not able to stop Iran's missiles. And Russia has way more missiles and way faster missiles than Iran. You see how simple that is, Fox? See how simple that is? Nice to know that tax return I don't get back is spent well. Yeah, Fox, that's a whole nother. Yeah, that's a whole nother. Oh gosh, don't get me on taxes and that's a whole nother. Well, anywho, yeah, it all goes to Israel. It all goes to Israel. Some of it's going to goddamn Ukraine, which is a lost cause. Ukraine is a lost cause. But yet you got people like MD and Venkat. Venkat don't even know who Sergei Lavrov is, but want to talk to me about Russia. And then Russia Oh, Russia this, Russia that, Russia, 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 but you don't know who Sergei Lavrov is. You're not. That's what I mean by being prepared. I'm not saying because Venkat is a very smart guy, but you're not prepared for this conversation. MD is a very smart guy, so I get it, Paul. You agree with MD and Venkat, but what I'm telling MD and Venkat is they're not prepared, and obviously you weren't prepared for this conversation. See, people see me with the dreadlocks, and they see I don't know what I'm assuming they just see a guy who want to get on here and talk about nigga shit. I don't talk nigga shit. I don't like or sports or no offense to you, relax talk sports, but black people are put in a box, especially on the internet. So when I come on here talking about shout out to Garland Nixon and shout out to the black people who talk politics, but when I talk politics, they don't know they're just not prepared. They're just not prepared because they come on my channel thinking I'm going to talk about some nigga shit or talk about, talk about, I don't know. What do niggas talk about? Niggas talk about sports. Niggas talk about nigga shit. I don't know. And so when I start talking, oh, you're trying to sound smart. No, you're just not prepared to have this conversation. Because when you came to my channel and saw me, your mind was somewhere else, Paul. Your mind was somewhere else. I'm not touching that one, but you're pretty knowledgeable. Oh, thanks, Fox. Right. I'm not trying to make this a racial thing because I even get it from black people. When black people see me, not even white people, when black people see me, they expect me to talk about nigga shit. Because there's a lot of black people on here doing nigga shit. It is. And they talk about nigga shit. I had to unsubscribe from a mammy. This mammy keep coming on my channel talking about nigga shit. But that's a whole nother topic. I'm not going to get into the mammy right now. But what I'm saying is that my interest has always been and always will be because I was born in 1973. So I am a Fallout baby. I'm a Fallout baby. Gen X are the Fallout babies. And so yeah, warfare is my concern. I grew up I was born during the time of the Helios. When they made the Helios the laser defense, which was 1973, it's always been my interest. I've never been into sports. I've never been into, I don't know, I've always been into warfare. Always been into warfare. I've always watched war movies, read war books. I've always been into warfare. This is not something I decided to do overnight. I've always been into the whole warfare. I've always been to it. And this is why I'm knowledgeable about it, Fox, because it's just an interest. And for these people who come on this channel, you got to be interested, and that's why I got on Venkat because Venkat is a very smart person, but he didn't know who Sergei Lavrov is, so then you got to get caught up. So let me know who Sergei Lavrov is, and then we can catch up and have this conversation about Russia, me loving Russia. Because it's not about me loving Russia, it's about me loving the U.S. Because I don't want nuclear warheads flying on your head, Fox. Or even this buster that you had to snipe in the head, this Paul guy, I don't want nuclear missiles flying on his roof because that radiation is going to travel. So I don't want these people, these trolls, these Negroes, all these unprepared, I won't even say uneducated, these unprepared people for this conversation. I don't want a nuclear missile to hit anywhere in the U.S. because that nuclear cloud travels. And we know radiation has a half-life of this has always gotten my attention. Nuclear fallout warfare, defense, offense has always been my interest. So no, I'm not trying to sound smart. I'm warning y'all. that we're playing with fire, that we are playing with fire. Because I saw Hitler make the same mistake. I saw Napoleon make the same mistake. The king of goddamn Sweden, they all tried to bum rush Russia and they failed. You can't defeat Russia on their homeland. Let's not fight Russia on their homeland. That's my strategy. And we don't even have to fight with Russia because Russia has never threatened to invade the U.S. Now, did they say you strike Russia, we're gonna strike back? That's what they said. You strike Russia with any type of weapons, they're gonna strike back. We're prepared to strike back, and they're not saying win or lose. They're saying, Russia has admitted that we all gonna lose in the nuclear war. The world is dead. We're all gonna lose. They've been saying this since the goddamn 60s. That's why I always reference Beneath the Planet of the Apes, one of the greatest goddamn endings in movie history. Beneath the Planet of the Apes. This is old school Planet of the Apes, Fox. This ain't this new shit with goddamn Mark Wahlberg. I'm talking about the old school Roddy McDowell Planet of the Apes, the old school. They said back then, the second one, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, it has greatest ending of all time. The greatest ending of all time. And I posted it several times, but if I'll refresh memory. They're fighting. There's this missile, and the apes are trying to damn bring it down. And one of the apes is like, "Oh no, stop it! You don't know what you're messing with." And Charlton Heston, he has a shootout with him. They shoot him. He's bleeding out. He's like, "Oh, help me!" And then the ape was like, "Man, you men are crazy, this and that." And so there's this latch. He shot up and he hits it, and then you see this white light, and it says the whole world is dead. This movie was made before I was born. One of the greatest endings of all time. If you have not seen that, Fox, check out Beneath. Is it Beneath the Planet of the Apes? It's the sequel to the original Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, and the whole world is destroyed. The greatest ending in movie history of all time. Yeah, I like the older one more, honestly. Yeah, the older ones, I mean, they're straight to the point. They're straight to the point. And that ending is chilling. That ending is chilling. And it reveals, it revealed it back then before we were born. Not only before I was born, before you were born, before I was born. I was born in 73. Beneath the Planet of the Apes was 69, 68, 69. And they were talking about the consequences of nuclear warfare and the damage that it could do. Yes, it was chilling. Oh, so you've seen it, right? See, man, that's what I love about you, Fox. You're young here, but you appreciate them old movies. You appreciate them old movies because those old movies had a simple, straight up message. See, the movies nowadays are just CGI. They so focus on CGI. This is why I love Fallout, because Fallout is going back to the old message. And the old message is in warfare, in nuclear warfare, nobody wins. That is the clear message that goes over Vincat's head. It goes over this guy you snipe Paul's head. It goes over MD's head. It goes over their head. Maybe because you're young. I don't know. Because I don't know. I appreciate old movies and old music. Some old games. Thoughts. Again, Fox. Uh, it's getting hot. Again, I shit. It's getting hot, man. Again, I'm not trying to sound smart. It's just what I'm interested in. People have different interests. People have interests, and MD and Venkat, who are smart, they're just now getting interested in what I'm talking about. This guy Paul, you had to snipe. It's just now getting into this, and then if you're going to get into this, just be prepared. Prepare yourself. Learn these things. It's like when I talked about the Russians and Baryshniks, he was like, "Oh, what's that? Oh, the Helios." It's like he doesn't understand. Russia just made these weapons. Exactly. You are like how I am about Fallout lore. Right, right. About Fallout lore. Good example, man. And that's why this TV show, I mean, You know what Fallout lore does and the Fallout TV shows? It shows the mentality of the American government. The American government is the enclave. That's why I love Fallout so much because it's showing the psychology of like they don't give a fuck. Like does the enclave give a fuck about the people on the surface? No. They already prepared to have their Fallout bunkers and shelters. They got FEV and all that. Like, man, Fallout is man. You know, and people, oh, it's a fictional TV show, but yeah, but it shows the psychology what we're dealing with our government. The enclave is our government. The enclave is our government. So all this, trying to, you know, that's why I said when people are like, oh, well, yeah, we don't know what the American government has. That's Russian roulette. Not just the show, but the series as a whole. Right? Yeah, yeah. The series as not only the show, but yeah, the series. Yeah, it's great, and that's why I'm saying Fallout New Vegas is in the top 5 video games of all time. Fallout New Vegas is up there with GTA San Andreas, GTA 5. Fallout is right there with the top 5. Fallout, along with all these DLCs, is in the top 5 video games of all time. My opinion, of course. Now, yeah, GTA is a great game. GTA 5 San Andreas and GTA 5 and GTA San Andreas are great games. Great games, Fox. Don't know. Yes, New Vegas is definitely in my top 5, but only if you get the DLCs. That oh yeah, yeah, of course, yeah, because you got the hardest video game of all time is Dead Money. Let me say that again, Fox. The hardest video game of all time is Dead Money. Because not only you got a collar around your neck that could blow your damn head off, but you got poisonous gas. Like they screw you in that game with your odds. You got a blow up collar on and you got to maneuver yourself around poisonous gas. And they might give you a pistol or a spear. Dead Money is the hardest game of all time. If you know a game harder than that, Fox, you let me know. And I'll play it and I'll compare and contrast. See, again, this is something that we're prepared to have this conversation. So I'm putting out there to you, Dead Money that you played, which is the DLC of New Vegas, is the hardest game of all time. If you know a game harder, then present it to me and I'll play it. And then we can have that discussion. Absolutely. Screw Dead Money on hardcore mode, collar gas, and the holograms. Right, and those dead guys don't die. They come back to life. Yeah, and those holograms, you can't hit man, Dead Money is the hardest game of all time. Oh, God damn. Dead Money is the hardest game of all time. And I've been gaming for a long time, Box. I'm an old school gamer. I've been gaming since I've been gaming for a long time. And let me tell you, yeah, Dead Money is the hardest game of all time. I don't know any game that is harder than Dead Money to this day. To this day. And I play a lot of video games since, I'm 52 right now. I played a lot of video games through a lot of eras, and let me tell you, yeah, Dead Money is the hardest video game of all time. Just that alone puts Fallout New Vegas as one of the greats because you got the hardest video game of all time, the hardest video game of all time, and you're knowledgeable that because you've played Dead Money. It's a little easier if you know what to do, but the first time hardcore mode is brutal. Even if you know what to do, we know how to play it. You played it, I played it. It's still the hardest video game of all time. There is no video game that they will make as of right now that I know of that is harder than that game. Even with us beating it, we know what to do. We know how to. It is still the hardest game. There's no game harder than that game ever, 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 ever. Yeah, still brutal. It's brutal, right? It's brutal because the collar and the gas, the collar and the gas right there, even to this day. Yes, that's, see, you get, because again, we can have this conversation because you've played it. And this is all I was saying to that Paul guy and Venkat. Just familiarize yourself with what I'm talking about, and you're prepared. So we're prepared to have this conversation because you played that money. You've played that money. I played that money. I can make that claim, and now you got to be like, well, dang, Black Sun, let me think of a game that's harder because you played it. We're prepared to have this conversation because you played that game. If you never played Dead Money, you can't even have that conversation. We can't even, like, nobody can come in the chat and have a conversation about Dead Money until they play Dead Money. First of all, they got to play video games. Once they play video games, they got to play every video game ever made. And once they play every video game ever played and play Dead Money, you got to be like, this is the hardest game of all time. Just the odds, like I said, you have no weapons, you have a blow up collar on you, and then you got poisonous gas. That right there, like, there's no game that I've ever played where you start off with that type of disadvantage. And then it's a maze. Then Dead Money is a maze. So it's just about preparing yourself, preparation. I'm not trying to sound smart. It's just what I do. This is what I do. Oh, you're trying to sound smart. Well, Paul, you must think I'm smart because it all is just because you're not prepared for the conversation. You were not prepared to give me dates on the Helios, when it was made. You don't know when they rolled out the Brushniks and everything, because they just rolled them out. These are new technology weapons. You don't know that Russia has the most. So when you talk about war strategy, it's over your head. And because you came to my channel and you looked at me, you just had this low expectation of the conversation. Nah, you picked a topic, you know that topic's simple. Right, Fox, it's just that simple. Right, and that's why I said, Fox, with your expertise on games, because I know you know games, that's why I can confidently say that Dead Money's the hardest game of all time. But if you know a game that's harder, because you know your games, let me know. And I was that confident. I said, man, I know Fox play a lot of games, and Fox is real good, but you can't tell me a game that has a bigger disadvantage than Dead Money. And that's all. And that's why I was able to confidently make that. And this is what I do with warfare. This is what I do. You see what I'm doing now, Fox? I've already, just like with the nuclear weapons and all that, with all the information, I came to you in the video game sense talking about Dead Money, and I said, and I thought about it, and this is something that I just pull out of my rear end. Yeah, I see you. I didn't pull this out of my rear end. I thought about it long and hard and said, damn, because I already put Fallout up there with GT. I've already done that. And so in that claim, I said, well, what does Fallout have that I can really stand on to make that claim that it's one of the greatest games of all time? And I said, well, Fallout has the hardest game of all time. And